Welcome back, students. In our today's class, we are going to discuss the second chapter of Unit 2, Evolution of the Media, and our second chapter is Understanding Cinema 2. Our first chapter was Understanding Cinema 1, where we have discussed how cinema incorporates within itself the speciality of all other arts like sculptures, painting, literature, theater, as well as how cinema differs from all of this. And even after incorporating of all of this art form within itself, even after cinema itself amalgamation of all of these arts, how cinema differs from all of this art and retain its individuality. So in our second chapter, that is Understanding Cinema 2, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss the various technicalities that are involved in the making of a cinema and how it goes. So let us begin with the chapter. In the previous chapters, we have seen that film as a complex narrative as it incorporates various elements of the other major arts, just as I said right now. Yet, cinema has its own language that demands to be understood in its technicalities. So, to understand a cinema, we must understand technicalities too. Technically, what makes a film a complex narrative? Okay, if this question comes in a short form, so what should we say? That technically a film is a written script. It is acted, photographed, recorded, edited, directed, and produced, and as a narrative. So that is why film is a complex narrative, because it has to be written in a script form, it has to be acted, photographed, recorded, edited, directed, and produced as a narrative. A film deals with time and space in a dynamic way. In other words, there is no such much to be observed in a film at any given point in terms of the techniques used and pattern of storytelling, as all these factors have direct bearing to the quality of the film. So time and space is a very important thing. If we talk about the quality of the film, if a film doesn't follow the time and the concept of time and space, it would lose its charm. Okay, now, and you have watched the film in real sense when you have seen all these details. Moreover, all these details have to be observed while the film is running. A book can be read or a painting can be observed at one's own pace or leisure. But we have no such choice in case of films, as they run at their own pace on the screen. Suppose you have gone to watch a cinema and you are late, so you can't rewind that cinema in the cinema hall or theater. You will be lagging behind, and you can't enjoy a movie completely without watching the movie in its own pace. Not in not A cinema doesn't depend on your pace, but it depends on its own pace. How do you watch film, or do you watch the film? Okay, so this is a question posed to the audience or the readers. You have to understand that. Now there's an activity that I have discussed in our live class. I hope all of you have gone through that, and let us move. How can we improve our perception of films? Okay, it is a very important thing that how to improve our perception of films. The simple answer to this question is watching them consciously and knowledgeably. The more one does it, the better does one get at it. We have to watch all kind of films with an open mind. So without being prejudiced, without being biased, we have to watch all kind of film with an open mind, without any preconceived notion. When we see a film for the first time, we are engrossed in the story, impressed by the acting, but we are also aware of the quality of photography, music, special effects, location, etc. Although we do not continuous think, we are aware of the changes of the scene and time. that is sequential nature of the happening. So while we are watching the film, we are engrossed in the story, impressed by the acting, but at the same time we must be aware of the quality of the photography. Suppose a film is in a very bad condition. Suppose you have downloaded a movie from a site. Okay, I'm not naming any kind of site here. You have downloaded a movie from a site, and that picture quality of that film is very bad. That copy of picture quality of that copy is very bad. So while you will be watching the film, you will feel disgusted. You won't like that. So the photography, the quality of the sound, the photography of the graphic quality, everything is very much important. In cinema, a story is important, but what matters equally is how the story is told and the presentation and scheme. So story is always important, but with that story, what is important? How it is presented or told. A story is always structured in cinema. In cinema, stories are presented in a structured form. We can just throw a story, the end, at the beginning of the movie you are showing the end, or in the middle you are showing the beginning. You can't just throw a story to audience like that. You have to be very precise, and a cinema must be structured. The first step towards that is to structure a story in terms of time and space. This happens during the scripting. Okay. So the concept of time and space is very important while we are scripting or drafting a cinema. Now, given below, the script extract is from the beginning part of a movie Alien. I have discussed this in our live class. This example shows us how the time concept of time and space is used in this film. And there is another example, I think, that is from, just a minute, that is from our movie Sri Chasobis. That is a movie of Raj Kapoor. Okay, now what is important here to learn, that is macro structure. What is macro structure? This is decided at the script stage. Okay, macro structure is a structure of the movie. The whole movie is structured at the beginning of the even after beginning of the shooting of the movie. The macro structure is decided at the script stage. This is the composition of the film in a broad sense. It deals with the structuring of the story in a definite spatio-temporal order. It determines whether the film is a linear narrative or a story is told in flashback or in any other way. Okay, so what is linear narrative or what is flashback? We are going to read very soon. But all of these things are incorporated in macro structure. Macro structure evolves during the scripting. It has two macro aspects. What are those? It structures time order of the story as linear or non-linear form. Okay. And it lays out the story in terms of sequence scenes. Okay, in terms of sequence or scenes, the stories are told which are individually defined in terms of time and space. Okay, normally the story structuring time. So how do you structure time? Structuring time is very important in any kind of storytelling, and in cinema, in the case of cinema, it is very important. Normally, the story is told in either linear or non-linear manner. In the case of linear manner, stories that progress in a straight line, going ahead step by step, are called linear narratives. Suppose I am telling you a story, and the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, and the stories don't have any talking from the past or future. It moves in a straight line. It doesn't go back or it doesn't show any kind of flashback. Then it is a linear narrative. Now, what is a non-linear narrative? Stories that do not progress in a straight line are called non-linear narratives. In easier words, the stories that incorporates various flashbacks or saying of the parts or future maybe, that is called a non-linear narrative. Some examples of linear narratives. So, what happens in case of linear narratives? The story is told in a straight line. So we are here going to discuss the example, that is Pather Panchali by Satyajit Ray is an example of a story in linear fashion. It covers a large period in the life of a family living in a village in Bengal during the beginning of the 20th century. It begins at a certain point of time in the life of the characters or family, and when the film ends, the family decides to migrate to Varanasi, leaving behind their ancestral home in the village. So, the story is progressing in a straight line. When the story starts, we are at a certain point of the time. We are at a certain time when all the characters at a certain age, in a certain age. Okay, now at what happens in the story begins, we are told their life story, and at the end of the movie they migrated to Varanasi. Now High Noon, this is also an example of linear narrative. In the case of High Noon by Fred Zinnemann, he is a famous US famous producer or director from USA. It's a famous Western film. The unique thing about this film is that the time of the story is exactly same as the running time of the film. This is very interesting. The film begins on a particular day in a small town around 10:36 a.m. and ends at high noon. It is a linear narrative and wherein the story takes place in 85 minutes, and the length of the film is also 85 minutes. Okay, this is another kind of linear narrative that uses the same amount of time that is shown in the film. The movie is for 85 minutes, and only the 85 minutes of the life of their life is shown in the film also. Amir by Rajkumar Gupta was a film in which the story begins at a point when the protagonist of the film arrives in Mumbai by flight from UK. His family is under captivity by the terrorist, and he is being blackmailed to do things on the orders to give him on a to him on a cell phone from the time to time. The film is a linear account what happens in the life for next 5 hours. So all of these are example of linear narratives. Suppose you are asked in an exam that give name of 3 movies which has used linear narratives at their technique of telling a story. You may name these 3: Pather Panchali, High Noon and Ami. Now, some examples of non-linear narratives. Okay, Lawrence of Arabia by David Lean begins at a point when the protagonist is dead, then travels back in time to unravel his story. So, at the beginning, what we are seeing that our protagonist or our hero or heroine, whoever she or he is has already died. But we are told his story when he travels back to unravel his story in past. Okay, so Lawrence of Arabia. Remember these names, this may be asked in your exam. Wild Strawberries by Ingmar Bergman is a beautiful combination of the present and the past in the same story. Isaac Borg is a 76 years old doctor who had a distinguished career as a doctor and being honored by a university for his lifelong excellence. While he undertakes the road journey with his daughter-in-law, he stops along the way at various places and meet people. These events invoke his personal memories, which belongs to the past. These parts are depicted from the in the form of dreams or dreamlike flashbacks. So basically what is happening in the case of non-linear narrative, either we are traveling back to past, okay, or we are remembering or daydreaming our past in the course of our journey. So this is how the non-linear narratives works. Now these two are another two examples, Sole and Dil Chahta Hai. Okay. Now, what is sequence? Sequence is the basic unit of a macro structure. The story proceeds sequence by sequence. Each sequence is complete unit of action, and it is bound in a given bound by a given time and space. Okay. Now, let us move to microstructure. What is a micro? What is a microstructure? Microstructure refers to the directorial and technical aspects of the film craft, such as composition of the shots, composition of the soundtrack, pace of editing, etc. So, all of these are inculcated as microstructure. This process begins at the shooting stage and is completed in editing. When the director begins working on the writer's script, he begins by planning the shooting of each scene into several shots. Each shot is composed differently. Now, what are the elements of microstructures? The sequence is the basic unit of macrostructure. A sequence is composed of one or many shots. A shot is the basic unit of macrostructure. Okay, now this would be microstructure. Okay, this is printing mistake. Now, what is a shot? It is the length of a film exposed in one continuous running of the camera at the time of shooting. Shot in cinemas has three aspects: visual, audio, and editing. Now you have to remember all of this: cinematography, the visual aspects of the shot, what is viewpoint, and what is static movement, and all of this. I have discussed all of this in our live class. I hope you have gone through that by yourself. You are advised to read all of this. Okay, now let us move to editing transitions. Editing is one of the most important thing while we are talking about cinematography. Okay, an editing transition is a way to change from one visual or shot or sound to another. Okay, nowadays all of we know a little bit of editing. We can't help it because in for the sake of our work maybe or entertainment maybe, all of we know how to edit pictures. I think all of you know how to edit pictures, how to add certain filters, how to remove certain things, add certain things, and in the case of videos also you are well known to the basics. Now, what is a cut? A cut is a visual transition created in editing, which one shot is instantly, in which what happens, one shot is instantly replaced on screen by another shot. What is dissolve? A gradual scene transition. One scene is ending, another scene merged into that is called dissolving into something. The editor overlaps the end of one shot with the beginning of the next one, and we see both the shots on screen, and the first one appears to dissolve into the second one. What is fade? A visual transition between shots or scenes that appears on the screen as a brief interval with no picture. The editor fades one shot to black and then fades in the next, often used to indicate the change in time and place. The first shot fades out and the second shot fades in. Okay, all of these are editing technique. Suppose one shot of a video is ending, we are blackening out that, fading out, and another shots fade in a bright light. What is iris? Visible on the screen as a circle closing down over or opening up on a shot. Seldom used in the contemporary film but common during the silent era of Hollywood. So iris was quite common in the when the silent era was going on. Wife, visible on the screen as a bar traveling across the frame, pushing on shot off and pulling one next shot into place. Rarely used in contemporary film, but it was common in the films of 1930s and 40s. Japanese director Akira Kurosawa used a lot of this kind of wiping technique in their movies. I think I have shown all of these videos or photos in your live class, and if you feel any kind of difficulty in understanding, you can reach me out anytime you want. Now, bleach. What is bleach? A visual transition between shots on scenes that is opposite of fade. The screen appears to get brighter and brighter and ultimately so bright that all details of the shot are washed out, and one sees a bright harsh lit rectangle on the screen. Freeze. It is like dramatic pause either within a scene or in between two scenes. The picture seems to freeze in an instantly dramatically show. A still picture is shown in the screen. This technique is used when we see a serial is ending or something shocking is happening. Now, last but not the least, what is morphing? This is an electronically generated effect wherein the shape, colors, contours of the person object change within a shot. This is mostly used in ad films like running cheetah becomes a motorcycle. Okay. So what we did in what we do in morphing? In morphing, a thing becomes another thing. Suppose a flower is becoming a bottle of perfume. Okay. Or a cheetah is running, it becoming a motorcycle. What it indicates? It indicate that motorcycle is powerful as cheetah. Editing transition are like the punctuation. This is spelling mistake. Okay. Punctuation mark in written language. They make the flow of the story orderly and elegant. Without punctuation mark, if you write a text, it will become very hard to understand. So what editing does? Editing makes a story or the flow of the story orderly and elegant to understand. So with that we finish our second chapter, that is understanding cinema 2. In our next class we will start chapter 3, that is understanding TV. Okay students, bye for today.